Hello, my name is Gail Hermanow, and I am a Master Gardener and a Master Composter for the University of Delaware's Cooperative Extension. And today we're going to demonstrate how to make a freestanding compost pile. The first thing I like to do when I start a new pile is I like to use some trimmings and some brown materials. These actually were trimmed today from my crepe myrtle tree, so they do have the leaves on them, but they will provide both a carbon and a nitrogen source as the trees dry out. When you're building a freestanding pile, I like to do all of the carbon materials first. And some of the carbon materials that I have for you today are some leaves. So you want to put some leaves down in a nice layer. And you want to break them up as much as you can. You don't want any of the really large leaves. Now I'm adding some straw. So that would be 2 to 3 layers of carbon materials. And when you don't have leaves and you're unable to source some, depending on the time of year it is, I also use newspaper clippings. But you want to make sure that you do make it in small pieces so that it doesn't mat down and prevent the air from flowing through your pile. Then, after you do the 3 layers of carbon materials, you want to add some nitrogen materials. So here I have some grass clippings, which is an excellent source of nitrogen. Another type of nitrogen material is the food waste from your kitchen. And that would include any of your herbs, your banana peels, your eggshells. You want to remember to keep everything organic. There are certain things that should never go in your compost pile. While certain manures and animal manures are safe to go in a compost pile, you want to make sure that you check the source materials that those animals eat, and it passes through their gut doesn't necessarily break down pathogens or weed seeds. So you want to be careful of that. You want to make sure that you don't put any oil, butter, any meat, no bread, things like that. Stay out of it. Just vegetable material from your kitchen. Then, after you have your 3 layers of carbon and your 1 layer of nitrogen, you want to inoculate your pile with some finished compost so that you can introduce the microorganisms right away. Other thing that you need in your pile is air and water. So you want to make sure that when you build your pile, you provide a lot of aeration so that air can flow through each time you add a layer. And you just keep building it until you have all your materials down in a pile. Now, you can manage this pile as an active pile, and it's really easy to do as a freestanding pile because you can get around it from all sides and you could turn it with your pitchfork. As you build your pile, you want to water everything in before you do the next set of layers. So we have a nice example here, right? And once you provide the moisture content that you need and the organisms are attracted to your pile, then as these materials break down, they should be able to hold on to this moisture. But in the beginning, you might want to make sure that you check it a little more frequently to make sure you have the right moisture level. As moist as a well-wrung out sponge in your kitchen. Air and water that you incorporate into your pile will enable those microorganisms to live and reproduce and generate the heat that's necessary to decompose all these materials. If you'd like to learn more about composting, you can check out the University of Delaware Cooperative Extension website.